Possibilities. First, to keep on living, you should be used to it by now. Second, to end it, it was your choice. After all. Third, to die having met your obligations. Those are the only options. Reason for optimism. Keep always before you that this is no different from an empty field, and the things in it are the same as on a mountaintop, on the seashore, wherever. Plato gets to the heart of it, fencing a sheepfold in the mountains and milking goats or sheep. My mind, what is it? What am I making of it? What am I using it for? Is it empty of thought? Isolated and torn loose from those around it, melted into flesh and blended with it, so that it shares its urges? When a slave runs away from his master, we call him a fugitive slave. But the law of nature is a master too, and to break it is to become a fugitive. To feel grief, anger, or fear is to try to escape from something decreed by the ruler of all things, now, or in the past, or in the future. And that ruler is law, which governs what happens to each of us. To feel grief, or anger, or fear is to become a fugitive from justice. He deposits his sperm and leaves, and then a force not his takes it and goes to work and creates a child. This from that. Or he pours food down his throat, and then a force not his takes it and creates sensations, desires, daily life, physical strength, and so much else besides. To look at these things going on silently and see the force that drives them. As we see the force that pushes things and pulls them, not with our eyes, but just as clearly, to bear in mind constantly that all of this has happened before and will happen again, the same plot from beginning to end, the identical staging. Produce them in your mind as you know them from experience or from history. The court of Hadrian, of Antoninus, the courts of Philip, Alexander, Croesus, all just the same, only the people different. People who feel hurt and resentment, picture them as the pig at the sacrifice, kicking and squealing all the way, like the man alone in his bed, silently weeping over the chains that bind us, that everything has to submit. But only rational beings can do so voluntarily. Stop whatever you're doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore? When faced with people's bad behavior, turn around and ask when you have acted like that. When you saw money as a good or pleasure or social position, your anger will subside as soon as you recognize that they acted under compulsion. What else could they do? Or remove the compulsion, if you can. When you look at Satyron, see Socraticus, or Eutyches, or Hymen. When you look at Euphrates, see Eutychian or Sylvanus. With Alciphron, see Tropiophorus. When you look at Xenophon, see Crito or Severus. When you look at yourself, see any of the emperors. And the same with everyone else. Then let it hit you. Where are they now? Nowhere or wherever. That way you'll see human life for what it is. Smoke. Nothing. Then why such turmoil to live your brief life rightly? Isn't that enough? The raw material you're missing, the opportunities. What is any of this but training? Training for your logos in life observed accurately, scientifically. So keep at it until it's fully digested, as a strong stomach digests whatever it eats, as a blazing fire takes whatever you throw on it, and makes it light and flame, that no one can say truthfully that you are not a straightforward or honest person. That anyone who thinks that believes a falsehood. The responsibility is all yours. No one can stop you from being honest or straightforward. Simply resolve not to go on living. If you aren't, it would be contrary to the Logos. Given the material we're made of, what's the sanest thing that we can do or say? Whatever it may be, you can do or say it. Don't pretend that anything's stopping you. You'll never stop complaining until you feel the same pleasure that the hedonist gets from self-indulgence. Only from doing what's proper to human beings as far as circumstances, inherent or fortuitous, allow. Enjoyment means doing as much of what your nature requires as you can. And you can do that unaware, a privilege not granted to a cylinder to determine its own action, or to water, or fire, or any of the other things governed by nature alone, or by an irrational soul. Too many things obstruct them and get in their way, but the intellect and Logos are able to make their way through anything in their path by inborn capacity or sheer force of will. Keep before your eyes the ease with which they do this, the ease with which the Logos is carried through all things, as fire is drawn upward or a stone falls to earth, as a cylinder rolls down an inclined plane. That's all you need. All other obstacles either affect the lifeless body or have no power to shake or harm anything unless misperception takes over or the Logos surrenders voluntarily. Otherwise, those they obstruct would be degraded by them immediately. In all other entities, when anything bad happens to them, it affects them for the worse. Whereas here a person is improved by it, if I can put it like that, and we admire him for reacting as a person should. And keep in mind that nothing can harm one of nature's citizens except what harms the city he belongs to. And nothing harms that city except what harms its law. And there is no so-called misfortune that can do that. So long as the law is safe, so is the city and the citizen. If you've immersed yourself in the principles of truth, the briefest, most random reminder is enough to dispel all fear and pain. Leaves that the wind drives earthward. Such are the generations of men. Your children, leaves. Leaves applauding loyally and heaping praise upon you, or turning around and calling down curses, sneering and mocking from a safe distance. A glorious reputation handed down by leaves. All of these spring up in springtime, and the wind blows them all away, and the tree puts forth others to replace them. None of us have much time, and yet you act as if things were eternal, the way you fear and long for them. Before long, darkness, and whoever buries you mourned in their turn. A healthy pair of eyes should see everything that can be seen and not say no to bright, which is a symptom of ophthalmia. A healthy sense of hearing or smell should be prepared for any sound or scent. A healthy stomach should have the same reaction to all foods as a mill to what it grinds. So too a healthy mind should be prepared for anything. The one that keeps saying, "Are my children all right?" or "Everyone must approve of me," is like eyes that can only stand pale colors or teeth that can handle only mush. It doesn't matter how good a life you've led. There will still be people standing around the bed who will welcome the sad event, even with the intelligent and good. Won't there be someone thinking, finally, to be through with that old school teacher? Even though he never said anything, you could always feel him judging you. And that's for a good man. How many traits do you have that would make a lot of people glad to be rid of you? Remember that when the time comes, you'll be less reluctant to leave if you can tell yourself, this is the sort of life I'm leaving. Even the people around me, the ones I spent so much time fighting for, praying over, caring about, even they want me gone, in hopes that it will make their own lives easier. How could anyone stand a longer stay here? And yet, don't leave angry with them. Be true to who you are, caring, sympathetic, kind, and not as if you were being torn away from life, but the way it is when someone dies peacefully, how the soul is released from the body. That's how you should leave them. It was nature that bound you to them that tied the knot, and nature that now unties you. I am released from those around me, not dragged against my will, but unresisting. There are things that nature demands, and this is one of them. Learn to ask of all actions, why are they doing that? Starting with your own. Remember that what pulls the strings is within, hidden from us, is speech, is life, is the person. Don't conceive of the rest as part of it, the skin that contains it, and the accompanying organs, which are tools, like a carpenter's axe, except that they're attached to us from birth, and are no more use without what moves and holds them still than the weaver's shuttle, the writer's pencil, the driver's whip. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations.